Hey guys, trying something new this week. I've had a crazy 2 weeks. If you follow me on Twitter, lots going on. I think some big announcements coming in the next little while. But this gave me a good excuse to do something with my friend David Pakman. You guys know David. He is a big YouTuber. We agree on a lot of stuff. We disagree on some stuff, and he knows his stuff. So I thought we'd do kind of a roundup of some of the stories that I was interested in this week and some of the things that he wanted to talk about. So first off, I wanted to start with Bernie Sanders because, you know, we just did this whole series with Mark Ambinder from The Week, sort of breaking down the best and the worst of all the presidential candidates. And everybody in the comment section was going, more Bernie, more Bernie, more Bernie. So Pac-Man, as a progressive, you're a big progressive, does Bernie Sanders have a chance?
I seriously hope so. I mean, if we look at the polls, we do see that he is doing far better than many people expected. We see that Hillary Clinton's favorability is at its lowest point, and I think it was 12 or 14 years. I just had an interesting discussion, though, on my program. You know, there was this NPR interview where he was asked by Diane Rehm, or not even really asked, she just sort of presumed, oh, since you're also an Israeli citizen type of thing. And I was just waiting for when the Jewish factor would become a factor, because for years I've said, broad picture, there's going to be a female president before there's a Jewish president. And it just so happens we're now looking at Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary. And I think that that's going to become more of a thing the better Bernie does.
Yeah, so I heard that interview and everybody's making a big deal about it. So first off, it sounds like she sourced this information that he's a dual citizen of Israel from a Facebook post from some crazy anti-Semitic website originally. What do you make of the question itself, like the accusatory tone? And it really wasn't a question. She stated it sort of as fact.
Yeah.
And then he immediately went on the attack because he is not a dual, as he said, he's not a dual citizen of Mexico or any other country.
He did admit to having gone to Israel, which is incredible that he had to clarify, listen, I happen to have been to this country, but no, I'm not a citizen. And I was just wondering when else would someone like Diane Rehm, very respected on NPR, also very respected, take such a presumed bit of data, which in this case is false, from a Facebook post? In other words, would the same standard be applied to asking, I don't know, Ted Cruz if he's actually a citizen of some country in Central America? I don't know.
Right. So what do you make of this thing with the left? Because I do think there's huge percentage of the far left is definitely either anti-Semitic and they hide a lot of that in just hating Israel. I don't think they hide it particularly well. But to me, it seems obvious that something like this was going to bubble out of the left and hit Bernie.
No question about it. And I'm now starting to get a lot of voicemails from my audience saying, hey, David, do you really think that this country is going to elect a Jewish president? And it's sort of, I have to kind of disaggregate the two sides of this. On the one hand, if you look at polls, Bernie Sanders is the mainstream candidate. He's the guy, and I wrote a Huffington Post blog about this earlier this week that has been doing really well. The views of the average American are actually most in line with Bernie Sanders, not with Ted Cruz or whoever else we're talking about. But at the same time, there's no doubt that on the left and the right, there is a sort of anti-Jewish element that may be connected to Israel, or it may be completely disconnected from Israel for many people as well. And it's absolutely a factor.
Yeah, I think it's pretty disconnected, actually, and they just use Israel as the excuse. So anyway, so all that being said, so I agree with you. You know, this 99%, 1% thing, getting money out of politics, all the things that I do like about progressives. Yeah, Bernie's hitting that, talking, you know, police state, surveillance, all that kind of stuff, big banks. So all that being said, do you think the guy has a chance? Because frankly, I don't.
I'm going to say that he does have a chance. I think that if we look at the money that he's been raising, if we look at the reaction that even it almost seems like even his own campaign is sort of surprised by the reaction and the crowds and the money that's coming in. I am going to optimistically say that I think he does have a shot here to sort of pull himself up slowly but surely. And I'm hoping as the debates get going that will just accelerate this.
Right. So that's where I think if there's any chance for him, to me, it seems to be the debate. Sort of how like last time Newt Gingrich got this real burst in the debates because they saw him as this guy that was speaking very clearly and good with quips. Like that's where Bernie can use sort of his Brooklyn roots, sense of humor and just directness, where Hillary's going to be kind of robotic. I just don't think that there's a chance he can beat that machine, the Hillary machine.
We know that when you have more money in politics, you usually win. So from a merely empirical sort of analysis of the data, it's a pretty big hill to climb. But I'm sort of hopeful that while Bernie Sanders shares many of the characteristics with the sort of unique candidates in the past that have not ultimately done that well, I'm hoping that he's different enough in that he may be able to catalyze enough support.
Yeah. So last thought on this. Do you agree with me that, to me, the best option we had to pick two candidates to really have a debate of ideas, would be Rand Paul versus Bernie Sanders? That then you have two candidates who truly have ideas that are outside of the mainstream, ideas that sort of cross partisan lines, versus if we get like a Hillary and a Jeb Bush, like it's just the same old stuff. Is there any chance you're going to get a Sanders, Rand Paul? You said okay on Sanders, so give me the Rand Paul thing too.
Rand Paul will definitely not be the Republican nominee. There's no question about it. Although I agree with you that while I personally disagree with so much of what Rand Paul stands for, that would be one of the more interesting debates, and that it would be outsiders from the sort of conventional wisdom. Although, like I said, the American people agree with Bernie on more than they know.
Yeah, they really do. All right. Well, I want to know what you guys think. I hope that Bernie stays around at least long enough to change the discussion and force Hillary left on some of this stuff and make her different than the Republicans, because sometimes it's hard to tell if she has any difference than some of the Republicans. Anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments right down below.